Oh, look at that. Well timed tonight. Welcome to another episode of Mike Sports. I'm your host, Eric, joined as always by my co-host, Landry. Landry, how's it going tonight down there in Texas?
It's doing pretty good. I mean, if you got nothing against massage therapists, you're having a good time in Texas.
All right. Yeah. You know, I figured when you told me you got a new job as a massage therapist. And,
I got the job just so I could file the lawsuit.
Way to join the crowd there, Landry.
Yeah.
So,
and we got U of H kicking butt in March Madness.
Yeah, U of H. During the
Final Four.
Right? Yeah.
Final Four. Yeah.
How about it? First time since what the Twin.
Then we had that bad call with the women's basketball on Baylor, which was clearly a foul. UConn should have fell, but they got away with it and they entered.
I didn't catch that one.
Yeah.
So
you mean you don't watch women's basketball?
I do not.
Yeah. If I didn't live in Texas, I would have never heard of it because it was Baylor. So I know it was on First Take. It was on ESPN and whatnot. But I I get all the sports news from all the teams in Texas. Lacrosse, basket weaving, bakery, biscuit weaving.
I hear
anything they do in Texas
down there. Yeah,
I know.
So lots to talk about. Man, I tried to do it in the description. I couldn't fit it all in.
Yeah, well, we're almost to the draft. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, pro days. I love what the NFL Network has been doing as far as televising the pro days. Like, right. I absolutely love it. Now, I'm one of those guys. I'm a geek when it comes to the draft. Like, I'm a
you're a you know what? You're a stats guy too. Like, you're good with stats, right? I'm more about like the overall picture of something, the feeling, the mentality. You know, you'd be like, Jay, you made a touchdown. I'm like, yeah, but did he feel like he made a touchdown?
I mean, if the scoreboard says it's a touchdown.
I'm like, well, they need to change that rule. It needs to be like, if you're going in there, it's about who you are. Do you feel like a football player? Do you feel like a soccer player? Whatever pronoun you need, they need to adjust to that.
That's so guy scores a touchdown, I yell, goal!
Exactly. Or you just say, you know what? I know we're playing the Steelers, but I feel like a Steeler, so give the points to them.
Yeah. As long as when the Eagles are playing, the other team can feel like, you know what? I feel like an Eagle. So let's give them.
Exactly. So it sounds really stupid with sports, so you can understand why in politics it seems really stupid too.
Sure. So let's get right into it. 17-game season is gonna happen. They've announced who's getting the game, who's playing where. All the AFC teams will get 9 home games in odd number years, NFC in even number years. I like that they evened it out because let me tell you, of course I'm okay with more football, but I wanted an 18-game schedule because I felt like that was going to be the fairest. That way
I did too. I thought 18 was the number they should. In fact, I was like, well, let's make it an even 20. I was like, let's make it an even 20 and just get rid of preseason. That's the way I looked at it.
That'd be fantastic. I would love me a 20-game season.
I think preseason should just be dead. We showed that in a COVID year, we don't really need preseason.
Yeah, think about
there are ways around it.
NFL season was.
Yeah, so here are the notable changes. Yeah. Notable changes are 3 preseason games this season, 1 international game for each team over an 8-year period starting in 2022. The 17th game features teams from opposing conferences that finished in the same place in division during the previous season. That's a key change right there. People need to take note of.
Yeah.
I'll read it again. The 17th game features teams from opposing conferences that finished in the same place in division during the previous season. I thought it was a really interesting note that I don't hear anybody talking about.
Well, sure. You had to find a way to make it fair, right? And so, doing it that way, there's really no argument that can be had. And having it be where first year, all AFC teams get the extra home game. So it's like you can't even complain that somebody you're in a playoff race with gets an extra home game because you're not in a playoff race against somebody from the other conference. So I'm glad they did that. That kind of takes away my argument because right away, that was the first thing I thought. Well, it's uneven. How do you decide who has the extra home game and who has the extra road game. Because, like I said, like I remember saying to you, hey, look, if it comes out where like the Eagles had 9 road games and 8 home games, and the Cowboys had 9 home games and 8 road games, I was going to be pissed. And I think you would have a right to be pissed if it was the other way. And yeah, I'm glad they didn't do it that way. I'm glad they came up with the fairest concept. And I didn't doubt that the NFL would have guys in place to figure this out. Like they were going to find the right way to do this where they weren't going to give anybody an unfair advantage.
Yeah, look, I mean, what I thought was funny is the players being upset when it had already been agreed upon, but now that it's official, the day it's official, they're like, wait, whoa. I feel different than I did when I signed it, or that we all agreed to it. Now, I'm sure there were a lot of people who didn't agree to it, period.
Sure.
But the majority agreed enough to get it signed and done, so it was done. They are getting more money. There is compensation to make up the difference. So, I mean, look, man, it's in the end of the day, you know, whether they ever want to admit it or not, it's about the fans. It's an entertainment business, and it's a business on top of that, meaning it's about the money and the entertainment value, not the players. As much as they want it to be about them, it's just not at the end of the day. Now, you might say, well, there's no game without players. Well, I tell you what, you give up your job, and I bet there's someone who will step up and accept it and play football. Sure. So, I mean, it all depends how you want to value it. We get your fight, but in the end of the day, this isn't about your body and how much hit. Look, it's a violent sport. We all know it's a physical sport. It's wearing your body. You're dead by the end of the year. We get it, which is why they're removing a preseason game and moving it up in that. And look, here's the deal. If you're a team that doesn't make the playoffs, why are you complaining anyways? You're not going to play that long. You're going to play 17 games and be done for the whole year.
Yeah, you're essentially playing the same number of games you would have played anyway. It's only one more counts that wouldn't have counted before.
Look, now someone might be able to say, well, during preseason, I don't play that many snaps. I'm a starter. I'm like, okay, great. So you make millions and millions anyway. So you're one of the ones that shouldn't complain at all, in my opinion, then. You're the richest of the rich.
Yeah, look, I mean,
either way, I don't think there's a way for them to really argue it. In fact, I think they should have just done 20 games, like I said, and eliminated preseason and just use mini camps and stuff like that to figure out who's who and what talent they want.
Yeah, an expanded training camp. Look, somehow college football gets away without having any preseason games. They do not have a single game that does not count to the overall standings. And somehow, some way, the world keeps on spinning. I don't know how. I don't know how. So they can do that at the college level. Why can't they do that at the pro level? Snaps matter. Like, games matter. Like, these guys, look, they want to complain, hey, we're out here putting our body on the line. How you explain to that kid who goes out there, busts his ass every day, plays in a preseason game, gets injured, out for the year, probably gets cut and doesn't get an opportunity to play in this league. But guess what? That game you were sacrificing for, that game doesn't even count to your team's standings. That's something I would have a problem with.
Yeah, look. At the end of the day, it's basically I want to make money and I won't have to do any more work for it. I mean, that kind of sounds like my motto. At the end of the day, no matter what they put about it, that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, that sounds like
I said, if you take the guys who are making millions and millions of dollars off the field and you take it back to the rest of the players, they're all dying for that extra check.
Absolutely.
That does a lot for them.
Sure.
It's only the ones who are usually dumping, that have the 50 million contracts. They're like, hey, I don't want to play any longer than I have to. Well, let's face it. There's two scenarios. If you're at the end of it and you're not going to make it to the playoffs, what does it matter anyways? And if you are and you're a starter and you already have a playoff spot, you're not going to be playing that much anyways. They're not going to play you at the end of the season because you already got your spot. I mean, the logic doesn't serve them well.
Well, I mean, look, but more times than not, those last couple games, not only do they matter, they probably matter more than other times. Now, granted,
a wild card, sure, but the other guys who are either doesn't matter if they win or not, they're going home, and then the guys who doesn't matter if they win or not, they already have a spot.
Well, sure, but how many of those teams are there? There's 32 teams in the league.
Sure.
So you figure, one or two teams, know, okay, we're in and we know where we're going. We know we have a first round bye.
Right.
and then you've got maybe, let's just say, 10 teams that are out of it, and so they know they're not playing. Well, that leaves a heck of a lot of teams there in between that are.
Well, look, I think you're making a valid point, but I think I'm coming from a different angle. That's why I'm talking about the starters who make millions that have complained. If you come to the end of the season and they're not going to make the playoffs, they're not going to risk them getting injured anyway, so they probably won't be on the field very long during that game. And if they are going to the playoffs and already have a spot, they're not going to be on the field that long during that game either, because they don't want to risk them injured before they go to the playoff spot. So that only leaves really two complaints, and I'm talking only starters here, the $1 million dudes.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Because notice all the people who have complained are the people with the big fat contracts.
Well, yeah, because they've got guaranteed money that kicks in whether they play 16 regular season games or 17.
Yeah.
So they don't want to see that extra.
Right. And that's my problem. You have the 1% trying to tell the rest of the league how to fill. And I think the rest of the league is like, I'll take the paycheck.
That's not that uncommon from the rest of America, too.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you're making a valid point. Yeah. But I'm coming from the perspective of the elitist are the ones crying. And I'm like, I don't buy it.
Yeah, no, look, the ones that are complaining, like, I don't want to hear it, honestly. I don't.
It's like hearing Hollywood cry about, like, hard work and,
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of when those $1 million singers or performers were complaining about, like, Napster. And
like LL Cool J and Metallica, of all people, protesting to Congress about how their work is being. I'm like, man, give me someone like, someone legit like Bop guys. Like, hey, we don't make that much. We only had one hit song and they're killing us. Instead we had the guys that are like, hey,
who's buying that CD at the time?
Yeah, exactly.
$20 when they can download the one freaking song that anybody likes from them.
Exactly. Instead, you get the guys going, hey, I was going to make 175 mil this year. Now I'm only going to make 164 mil. This is bullshit. I had the same argument when that happened.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when Janet Reno in the Clinton administration sued the Microsoft for being basically a monopoly, which cracked me up because the complaint in the file was written in Microsoft Word. And I'm sitting there like, there was other programs.
Well, you know what I think is funny is like another example of this. Netflix released a documentary, The Last Blockbuster. Well, you know who put Blockbuster?
Yeah, exactly. You know what? Is that on Netflix right now? Because I've been wanting to watch that. Okay, I might watch that tonight. Oh wait, I don't have Netflix anymore. Dang, I'm gonna download that somewhere. I heard about that in the radio, and they said the same thing you do. They said the irony behind that is the people who came up with the documentary are the ones who put them out. But to Netflix's credit, if you know the history of Netflix and Blockbuster, when those two guys had an idea for Netflix, they went to them.
Go to Blockbuster to sell.
They went to Blockbuster, and Blockbuster basically laughed them out of the freaking room. Revenge, man. Revenge.
Well, it's like you underestimate the American desire to be lazy.
Yeah. And then, Blockbuster took way too long. It took like 4 years after Netflix was having success to go, you gotta be changeable at all times in the business world, man.
You either adapt or you perish. And I think this is the case of the NFL saying, hey, we've got an audience that is absolutely salivating at all times for our product. So we have to find more ways to give them our product.
Right. Exactly. And look, and their objective, the reason Roger Goodell, as much as he's hated, he signed the biggest TV deal in NFL history, and it was because of his connections and his ability to get the deal done, which is why as much as owners may not like him and people outside may not like him, he makes money for the NFL. In fact, he made an extra $221 million per team during his tenure so far.
Right.
Who in the hell is going to vote that guy out?
Everybody lost money this year. Every sports franchise lost money this year. But the NFL, they keep humming along. And they got a license to print money there. And Roger Goodell announcing this week. And now, look, all this is subject to change, and we're hoping that he's right on this. But he expects, stadiums to be at full capacity in September. And I think he's right. I think judging by the trends right now, forget how cases are going up. I'm looking more at the vaccination rates. And that's where I think you're seeing,
Right, and worst case scenario, there'll be 50% capacity. To me, that would be worst case scenario.
Yeah, that's absolutely
It'll be 50%. So, either way, we're looking at a good thing. Now, I don't know if you heard in Baltimore, the facility of Pfizer, it's either Pfizer or Johnson & Johnson. I have to go back and look at it. They had a mishap. Someone messed up the dosage, and it killed 15 million dosages that have to be disposed of now. And that's going to hurt shipments. 15 million, that's a lot. That's a lot. That's almost the state of Texas. It's a lot.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Hopefully they can, but hopefully, we get this all behind us. So I wanted to talk a lot about, the NFL. Before I want to take a second to take a step out of the NFL. I know this is not really what we do all the time, but we are sitting here. It's March the 31st. It's a Wednesday night. And tomorrow, April 1st, Major League Baseball opening day. I know you're not the world's biggest baseball guy.
Well, I played it, so I know how boring it can be.
Well, I absolutely love it.
If you got some sluggers, it's freaking awesome. If you got a bunch of pinch hitters, it's boring.
Me being a big pitching guy, so I love a good pitching matchup. And opening day is always good for that because everybody's starting their ace on opening day. I always love the matchups we get. I'm stoked. Baseball is back. I'm not gonna ask for you to give me your in-depth opinion on each major league team because I know that's not really your thing. But anything that you're excited about this coming baseball season?
I'm really excited about that there is a possibility, and I know it's a possibility. And some people are like, "Nah, come on, the Astros won't cheat this year." It's a possibility. I'm hoping for it. It might happen.
Well, I'm just wondering what the state of the trash cans are at Minute Maid Park.
How did you feel? Let's discuss it. How did you feel about the cheating scandal?
Look, I
thought it was crap.
I don't know.
Every team does it. They just got caught. That's how I look at it. Look,
as somebody who the baseball.
Remember the Yankees talk trash and then they got busted 6 months later? I was dying laughing.
Baseball is notorious for their cheating scandals. Now, these people who are outraged other players and stuff like that, give me a break. The guy the whistleblower who he left the Astros and decided he was going to blow the whistle on this thing. Yeah, you're just blowing the whistle because you left and you didn't want to see the Astros win again without you.
Yeah.
Look, cheating has been a long accepted part of baseball, and I think it sucks that cheating was always accepted. But I don't like the idea of now because it's a team that's not the Yankees or the Red Sox or the Dodgers. Now we have to crack down on it because the Houston Astros did it. And now we have to make an example of them. And we're going to talk about how teams are going to throw at the Astros. And guess what? It didn't happen that much. Now the Dodgers did because, I understand the Dodgers and some of their players, their organization feels like they got cheated out of a World Series. But please.
Baseball is funny, right?
Yeah.
Because baseball has taken cheating very seriously when it comes to betting or something like that. Mm-hmm. But when it's cheating internally, it's different, right? When it's cheating with external forces affecting it
for cheating.
Right? 1919, Arnold Washington, one of the richest Jewish guys in New York, tied to the mafia in a lot of ways, basically helped swing the World Series in 19. Was it the Black Sox?
Yeah, 1919. Yeah, Chicago White Sox. They got nicknamed the Black Sox.
And he helped do all that stuff, and he was able to get out of it with some paid-off politicians in Chicago, and all that went down. But the point was the integrity of the game had been struck for the first time. The baseball commission responded strongly to it. Big uproar. Chicago, the whole city was up in roar about it, whatnot. So it tamed down, and then we had the Pete Rose thing and other things like that. The only time the league has really just freaked out is when they think someone on the outside is influencing someone on the inside. But when it's 100% internal, it's basically well, we all kind of do it, but y'all got caught. But we got to punish you because everybody knows now. But then let's just move on. Is how I kind of look how the league has handled that when you look at it from a totality over the course of baseball.
Well, and look, I look at it too. Like, how is that much different than like changing sports? So, what happened with the New England Patriots and Spygate? How is it that much different?
Exactly. It's internal.
Yeah,
It's known. A lot of teams have done it. You know, if you look, one of the best interviews I ever heard was Troy Aikman and Colin Cowherd did it, and Troy Aikman basically said, "There's no way in earth Tom Brady didn't know about that ball." He goes, "As a quarterback, we always know, right?"
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, when they took a poll, they asked, "Do most people care?" Most people said, "No, we don't." But from a technicality standpoint, the league cared. And Roger Goodell, you know, and all
and
that.
I think the league was well within their rights to try and do something about it.
Sure, yeah. You should look. You break a rule, you get caught, you get punished. That's anything in world. But if I catch my kid, you know, at my house dipping into the food late at night or whatnot, do I say, "Hey, that's not the agreement here. That's not the rules. Go back to bed," or do I go ballistic? You know, go crazy on my kid? No, right? You do some basic discipline and you move on. It's not a major hanging offense. It doesn't affect my ability to win or lose a game, even though they try to sell it that way. I think a lot of that, me personally, I think Roger Goodell had a vendetta with Tom Brady.
Well, I always I always say when it comes to that, don't look at necessarily the end result to say whether or not it influenced the game. Like I know you always say, well, if it was a one touchdown game, then I get it. But to me, like, it changes the whole landscape of the game.
It's like saying it's unprofessional to eat on TV.
Sure. You could have covered up the logo because they're not sponsoring us.
Can you see the whole logo?
Nah, I can't see the whole logo.
Yes.
I can tell who it is.
Yes.
It's yes. No. The Daniel Bryan thing, which, by the way, WrestleMania coming up. Can't wait to watch that in about 10 days.
No, I haven't watched WrestleMania. I'm sorry. My personal favorite event, I was like SummerSlam, because Ultimate Warrior took down Hulk Hogan.
Well, that was at WrestleMania. That was WrestleMania 7.
Was it?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. No, you're right. Okay, what happened in SummerSlam that I'm thinking of with Ultimate Warrior?
What did he do? Oh, well, he took down the Honky Tonk Man in like 30 seconds for the Intercontinental title.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. The yellow belt. And then he made it blue. Yeah. Like, couldn't pick a color. You know, Ultimate Warrior is crazy like that. My favorite wrestler, by the way, is Ultimate Warrior. And then, but I think my favorite thing to watch, and to me it was better back then than it is now, but it's still good now, is Royal Rumble. I just love freaking Royal Rumble. I can't get enough of it. I watch it over and over as if I haven't seen it. I act like I don't know who's going to win, even though I know who's going to win.
Look who's
exactly. I'm like the Buffalo Bills wide right. Like, oh, we're gonna win it. What? Like, you know.
So. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like your favorite guy is the guy who got eliminated last, and each time you're like, he's gonna win. He's gonna win.
No, Mr. Perfect. You know, all those days, man.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's so funny. The casual wrestling fan. Most of them, when you ask them, hey, like, what's the one event you'll tune in for? It's Royal Rumble. Right. It's chock full of surprises, and it's the Royal Rumble match itself. That's the cool part. But yeah, okay. So your thing is you want to see. Now, last year we didn't get to see. Baseball only had the 60 games, and of course the whole COVID thing. Yeah, that put it.
It's gonna be weird, man. We're always gonna look back and go, remember the NFL, the year of COVID, when the Bucs destroyed Patrick Mahomes.
I know. It's just heck. In 2020, I only attended one sporting event, and
I went to none.
That was January 7th, the Eagles Seahawks wild card game. That was the last game that I attended with my dad, and so this fall will be the first sporting event that I attend with my dad.
Well, if you count strip clubs, I mean that's different. But we're talking straight up stadiums,
right. Well, I mean those are different. I also attended those with my dad, but.
Speaking of strip clubs, Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, right. I mean, that guy, like, all of a sudden, he's got to be like, wait, hold on. Did I say I wanted to get traded? No. I said, I can't wait for the season, man.
He said, did I say I wanted to get traded? No. A slave trade, I don't accept. But if this is football, I'm down. I want to be on my team. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Hey, I even changed my logo on my Twitter back to the Houston Texan logo. See what I'm saying? I'm committed. I'm
all in.
So the latest on Deshaun Watson, because it's all over our news here, obviously, every night.
Sure.
And the lawyer's famous here that's chasing Deshaun Watson for going after settlements and whatnot. He now has 18 women countering the 17 women. He has 18 women who have put their name out there, signed a petition, or not signed a petition, but signed the lawyer's affidavit and whatnot, swearing to their statements and whatnot, saying Deshaun Watson was always professional with them. He also used a towel. He also asked them, are you comfortable with massaging the growing muscle area? Because it's an area that his trainer explicitly said you need to have worked out to have stretch for the game, which is, if you're a guy, you know that your growing area can get tight, right? So they all said that they were warned about it. They knew about the towel. And then during their multiple sessions, all 18 of them, they never had an issue. He never tried anything.
How attractive were those girls?
Well, they were all men, actually.
That might explain a thing or two.
Yeah, weird, right? No. But so that puts a compelling thing in there when you have just as many, if not more, witnesses saying we've done the same thing with him and we've had no problem. And here are the text messages between us and him, all professional. And one girl even said in her thing, she said, in massage therapy school, you're taught that if the client wants to use a towel over their private area while you rub close to that area to get to the muscles, that is totally acceptable. She's like, so that's normal schooling. This isn't like he made a request that's outside the norm. So she said that one of the ladies said that made me laugh when I saw one of the accusers say that. I was uncomfortable because he used a towel and wanted me to rub his growing muscle area. And she's like, then you're not a real massage therapist. She said people actually tear that muscle. And if you've ever worked on athletes, that muscle gets massaged all the time.
Sure. Well, it's a muscle. It's a muscle that can get torn just like any other.
And on men, because of that area, the reason we can't do the splits is because our growing area muscle tightens and contracts and pulls back in. So if you're an athlete and you need to have that agility, that does have to get worked on. And his trainer from the Houston Texans had a list of areas that need to be massaged before each game, and that is one of the muscles listed on the chart.
And look, I have no doubt that if you went around the National Football League, all the other quarterbacks, I'm sure that they have similar requests.
Yeah, look, I'd be willing to bet that Tom Brady, his special massage guy that he talks about on what was it? Time?
Tom versus Time,
whatever. It shows him with the towel over his butt and the dude's going up his upper leg. And then doing the karate chop and whatnot. That seems to be normal practice. I think, me personally, what I think has happened is some women were uncomfortable, maybe thinking he was suggesting something he didn't. And then I think a lawyer got wind that some women felt comfortable and he decided, do you all want to get money? Do you all want to get paid out? Because remember, the first thing this lawyer did, he tried to get an immediate payout before he even tried to take him to court. Deshaun Watson refused to do it. Then he filed suit.
Yeah, and look,
that's very telling.
Sure.
Is it about them or is it about the money? Let's be honest. Lawyers get paid based on the amount of money you win from your case. They get a percent. Usually it's 15%.
Yeah, I absolutely think this is all about the money, and I think this is about destroying a man's reputation.
Yeah, and here's the deal. Some of these athletes get in a position where it is easier to pay them off just to shut the issue down if they have the funds than it is to go through a lengthy court thing and keep dragging your name through mud for 3 years. So sometimes people look guilty because they'll do the payout, but they're not. They just didn't want to go through this anymore.
Sure.
And he did sign $140 million, $160 million contract. So it's not like he doesn't have the money to go, if I gave every one of you $100,000, that'd be $180,000 to all the people who are suing him, and it'd be over. That's not a lot of money to someone who's making that kind of cash.
Right.
That's like me and you giving up like $1,200.
Again, to me, what it strikes to me is of a man who is very principled. And this is about the principle of the issue, that he did not commit any crime. He did not.
Now, I will say this. I have not been able to read all of the text from the people in their complaints. So unless someone has like an exact text which the lawyer has yet to say he's revealed, but there's a date in which he has to give it all over. Once he does, then it's all going to be out there. I think he has till April 9th or the 19th that all discovery documents have to be put forward. And the names
that's going to be very telling.
And the names of the people making the accusation. As of right now, no names have been known who are talking to this. Now, but it could be that, there are 2 or 3 texts in there where it's explicit that he did look for more, or maybe he liked one of the women and maybe try to do something about it. And that's going to change the game. It may not mean he's guilty with all of them, but it may mean, hey, on these 3, these 4, they got a legitimate case against you.
Right.
Now, I personally, from a psychology standpoint, from a, just like, look, biology is when you like someone and you're interested, you hit on them, they turn you down, you move on. That's what you're supposed to do.
Sure.
If he did do that and that's what they're trying to sue him, I think that should be thrown out.
Absolutely.
But if he did do it, they turned him down and he's persistent about it to a point where it's almost harassment like. That is lawful.
Well, and think about it. Like Deshaun Watson, like he's an NFL quarterback. He's probably used to women throwing themselves at him all the time and getting to pick and choose which of those women throwing themselves at him that he wanted to get with. If this is a case where a woman did not throw herself at him and he wanted that one, like I'm saying, he's probably not really accustomed to that whole, like, you and I, well, at least I don't know about you, but me, I had plenty of instances where I pursued a girl who wasn't interested in me. And I was told no, and I said, okay, no big deal, moved on.
Yeah, you were like, hey, look, you don't like me. I'll be in your bushes tonight. What? I get it.
Not okay.
I totally get it.
Yeah. Is that not an appropriate response?
Yeah. Fortunately, I was the one dumping people. I never had a problem where I felt like they needed chase. Now, what I will say in his defense, I guess, look, when we look at Deshaun Watson's career, there's no evidence that this guy has misstepped. Does it mean he can't misstep? No, it doesn't. Sure. Maybe being in the NFL with that kind of contract, that kind of money, and being where he is in life, maybe he slipped up. We don't know. But
he strikes me as a type from watching him. And again, we get to see a very condensed version of his life. Like we get, having gotten to see him play in college and grow from the college level and then go to the NFL and getting to watch a lot of his NFL games. Like to me, but we only see the games and we see how he interacts with his teammates in those environments. He strikes me as someone of high character.
Yeah.
Like, that's the way he strikes me. Could I be wrong about that? Absolutely. But usually when I see those guys, I'd like to think when I read them, I read correctly.
And like they say though, power can corrupt. He may have gotten a little full-headed and been with a girl he thought, I can push this a little farther. Maybe she'll be okay with it. And even if she's not, maybe I need to get her to reconsider. One of the documents does say that Deshaun Watson said, you do know what I can do to your career or for your career. In other words, that's what one of the lawyer serving the women that are against him is saying that he has a text showing that. Now, if that's true, that's the kind of thing that's gonna put you in boiling water.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and that's true. I mean, you can't threaten to hurt someone's career because they won't do a service. Now, look, if he did, let's say it's not about him hitting on her. Maybe that was a comment like, "Hey, I need you to rub this too." Oh, sorry, your time is up. No, it's not. Look, if you're not going to do this, I'm going to leave a bad review for you. It could be something like that she turned it into. He's threatening to ruin my career. That's what I said. I'm a very, even when my instinct, I always say I need to see and hear everything before I'll make a judgment. I really do believe in the principle in America. You are innocent until proven guilty. Even people I don't like that I already think, that person's got to be guilty, man. Just look at them. I'm like, let me hear it all and see it all first. Even with the George Floyd case, I want to hear everything about the cop and what he did first before I go, he stood on his neck and killed him. Yeah.
And it's only being responsible, wanting to hear all the evidence before you make a decision.
Look, when I left school, my aptitude test said I should be a federal judge. So that's the way I am. I'm objective. I like to look at everything, and I like to hear both sides, and then I like to see a ruling. Now, we're talking about sports here, so we typically aren't talking about harassment and whatnot. We're typically talking about I beat your ass in the elevator, I spit on you, I threw money at a guy because I didn't care because I'm rich and loaded, something like that. It's not really often we're actually talking about this kind of thing. But Deshaun Watson in Houston, because of what's going on, a lot of people think these women are being coerced because of what he's doing to the Texans. There's a lot of different philosophies about what's going on here. Yeah. And my whole thing is, look, man, get it in court where no one can affect. Let the people see the evidence and let them make the judgment and go from there.
My aptitude test, by the way, said, "Would you please start the test?" And I said, "What? I'm done."
You're like, my aptitude test said that I should be a sports talk radio person in China.
Oh boy.
Like we're sports, like I'm like, well, okay, specifically cricket. Just like keeps getting worse. Basically, it's trying to get you out of the United States so they never have to hear you.
Yeah, mine said I had the perfect face for radio. So
yeah. So let's talk about Pro Day, man.
Yeah, I definitely, like I said, I eat up this NFL stuff, and I eat up the draft process. Like if I were to ever be on one of those regular NFL shows, not that you and I, and this isn't special, but getting paid by ESPN.
I just got downgraded on live TV.
What I would get paid to do would be talk about the NFL draft and that whole process, because I live for this. It is I think I enjoy this process even more than I enjoy the actual football season.
Sure.
And the guy who I know you wanted to talk about when we talked earlier about what we were going to talk about tonight is
BYU boy.
Yeah, BYU's Zach Wilson.
I see a lot of Mahomes-ness in him.
Yes.
Kind of a gunslinger. He's got kind of a sidearm baseball throw to him a little bit. Can throw cross-body at a great distance with great accuracy. Looks composed. Looks like he enjoys his time. And on top of that, Mac Jones looked like he had a good time.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I got to say, the one person that I saw eyeing him, or actually I saw two people, but I saw one who I think leans a little more. I saw Kyle Shanahan and I saw good old Bill Belichick. And Bill Belichick was smiling with him. And I was like, wow, there's a connection. Yeah, they must have gone on a date, had a good dinner, got a good massage with a towel, no privates touched. Everything must have been really good between them, because when Bill Belichick smiles and is laughing with a guy, and look, one thing I think that Mac Jones really wanted to show in his pro day is that I can move. I'm not a statue. I know everybody thinks I'm this unmobile quarterback. And yeah, he didn't look fast or anything. He didn't run a 4.4 like Justin Fields did. By the way, I ran a 4.4 in high school as well. But I didn't, but he also weighs 50 more pounds than I did. And he's about.
I also ran a 4.4. I ran it 4 days, 4 hours.
Yeah, I ran a 10-100 and a 4.440. I was pretty quick. I was pretty fast. The difference is I wasn't over 6 foot and I didn't have the extra 50 pounds that he has when he ran a 4.4. So that would be the difference. But he was I was impressed overall by Pro Day. I was impressed. I don't think anybody had a bad showing.
No, nobody had that Teddy Bridgewater showing at their pro days.
Yeah.
Poor Teddy Bridgewater. That guy gets abused so much for that, but it was such a terrible pro day.
Why don't you walk everybody through it? You got to tell them what you're talking about for those who don't know.
So Teddy Bridgewater, when he was leaving Louisville before his draft day, everybody has their pro day. Aside from the combine where everybody gets together, which normally in our normal year, I geek out over that too. It's, every prospect gets together. They go through all these exercises and, including throwing exercises. And a lot of quarterbacks elect not to throw at the combine, but instead want to throw at their pro day. And the reason being they can have their coaches, their scouts, their trainers go through the program that they're going to run. So it's a lot more scripted in favor of the quarterback than if they go to the combine and throw, and it's what the scouts want you to do. So Teddy Bridgewater, who his entire career always used these gloves on his hands, and he has small hands and has a tough time gripping the football when it's not with these gloves. So he decided on his pro day he was going to not use the gloves, and he goes out there, and to say he stunk it up is an absolute insult to any quarterback who's ever had a bad day at the office. It was atrocious. He couldn't, throws behind the guy, throws at people's feet, and this is with nobody guarding the receivers. It was just, I remember watching that, and at the time thinking, the Eagles were they were on the fence in the quarterback market. They just had, I believe Nick Foles had just had his big year, but they weren't sure if he was the guy. And so, there was a lot of controversy over, should the Eagles be in the quarterback market? And so I thought, I better give this guy Teddy Bridgewater a look and see what I think of him. I walked away, man, my eyes were wide. I'm like, oh, boy, I do not want him in Philly.
Yeah, for those who haven't seen it, just go type in Tyrod Taylor and then type in, obviously, his combine and just look at the highlight. Just type in highlights. There you go. Yeah, the no glove thing was just a bad choice. Ronald McDonald would never do it. Tyrod Taylor should never do it. Never take off the
it was
glove.
Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Tyrod Taylor actually had a pretty decent.
Yeah, he had a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. I was impressed by a lot of the pro days. It's funny. I think this year could be very historic for the draft.
It's a very interesting, it's got some good quarterbacks in it, which you don't see this many good quarterbacks at the same time usually. It has what I would call a, once in a generational talent with Pony Boy.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, coming through and whatnot. Going to a coach who just took over a team has been basically given all the power to create the culture and change everything there. So we're going to see if that experiment works out.
That could be a competitive team there in Jacksonville.
Yeah, I like most things in 3 years we'll know. Yeah. Right? We'll know. Either they're trending up or they just suck.
Yeah. We will have
look,
answer.
A long time ago, we probably would have said, nah, man, I don't know. But after watching that the Browns have made a turnaround, it goes to show anybody can make a turnaround if you get the right front office and players, not one or the other. Got to have both.
Yeah, you have to have both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but, look, I actually think Mac Jones looks pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I liked his pro day. I didn't think he looked bad or whatnot. I do think he reminds me a lot of Tom Brady. He really does. And the way he throws and the way he stands in the pocket and the way he, hits the slants and whatnot, he has a very calm and happy presence. He doesn't look like a rattled player. And which, a lot of people think, oh, well, he should maybe go before Justin Fields. No, Justin Fields should go first. I'm mixed on Justin Fields. I'm not sold on him like everybody else is.
I'm not either.
Take away one of the best offensive lines in college football.
Mm-hmm.
And you might be able to say that with Mac Jones too. Okay. I think that's a fair argument.
Mm-hmm.
But Justin Fields played the first time he ran into a legitimate team, he got whipped.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence got whipped too, but Trevor Lawrence looked like the only player who was able and had the talent to pull him out. Even though they didn't win, he looked like the only one that was going to be able to pull it off if anybody was. To me, Justin Fields didn't look like he was going to pull anything off once they started going downhill.
Yeah, look, he's what I would call a front runner, and whereas he's one of those guys that they get out and jump out ahead, all of a sudden it's like the snowball effect. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Whereas, if it doesn't go well for him, you need that quarterback who, when your back's against the wall, you need to drive. You're coming down, and you're down 10. And it's like, okay, we got to do something to get our team going.
You know what we need to come up with, because me and you talk about quarterbacks so often. We need like a green light, yellow light, red light, or a up, down, or sideways. Like this quarterback's up, as in gonna only go get better. Sideways, as in gonna be in the league, gonna be a decent quarterback, maybe a backup in the future or whatnot. Or down, as in like they're gonna be a bust. We need like a grading system, you and I.
Okay,
on the show.
Let's go with the arrow up program. I'm going to run through the guys, and you tell me.
Let's do it. Where's my whiskey?
Up arrow, down arrow.
Fucking whiskey.
Arrow. All right. So Trevor Lawrence, I think, obviously up arrow.
Yeah, I'm going to go up. I don't think up as much as many people, but I can't see the kid just being like a total bust.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
And I am going to give him the room to become the quarterback that he needs to be, being that he's going to the Jaguars.
Sure.
I'm not going to judge him if he doesn't pull off a miracle in his first year.
Yeah, like if that team's like 6-11 at the end of this, like I look at that as an improvement. They went 1-15 this year.
Yeah, if they go 1-6, I'm going to sign a petition and try to get 1 million signatures to get Blake Bortles back. I'm kidding.
Awesome.
All right, go.
So yeah, all right. So Zach Wilson.
I'm gonna go. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go up. I think Zach is one. I think Zach is gonna be underrated, and he's gonna overachieve.
Now, here's the guy I think could end up going number 3. I'm going to talk more in depth about this in a minute. Trey Lance.
Yeah, like I see an up arrow. I actually think he's pretty good. I don't think he's going to be. I don't think he's a superstar.
He's not stepping in.
I think he's going to be good.
Yeah,
good, great, and superstar. That's how I kind of usually look at him. I think he's going to be a good player. Yeah.
Okay. All right, Mac Jones.
Up, but I will put a contingency in there. If he goes to the Patriots, I see him trending up. If he goes to the 49ers, maybe he might be a side arrow on a team like that.
Okay. I
think in the Patriot system, I see a lot of promise for Mac Jones.
All right, Justin Fields.
I'm about to go sideways arrow. I don't think the kid's going to be a bust, but I think he's going to end up being like a Robert Griffin backing someone up somewhere.
See, I would label RG3 as a bust because of where he was taken and what was expected, what Washington.
Okay, like if you want to go by that. Okay, I'll go down arrow then. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, I think I agree with you on all your arrows. And you already did this sort of with Mac Jones, but do you want to talk about potential fits for guys? Like if I say go through
let me go ahead. You talk first. I'm going to bring up my chart, my little mock draft thing that I got going.
Sure. Okay. All right. So I definitely, obviously there's no reason for me to talk about Trevor Lawrence going anywhere but Jacksonville. He's going number 1. He is going to be that guy who it's so rare that from the beginning of the draft process, and I'm not talking about just since this January, I'm talking about since last April, the day after the draft, when Mel Kiper released his very first mock draft of 2021, Trevor Lawrence was the number 1 pick there. And the entire process, and that includes the entire football regular season, and up till now, Trevor Lawrence has been the projected number 1 pick, and there's no reason to change that. So I'm not even entertaining talking about him going anywhere but Jacksonville.
Okay. Yeah. I'm willing to go with you on that one.
Zach Wilson, I would love him. I would love to see the Jets pass on him and let him go to San Francisco because I would just love to see that happen. I don't think it's going to happen. I think the Jets are taking him at 2. But, man, I really want San Francisco because I just feel like Kyle Shanahan with Zach Wilson, it would almost be cheating for him to have Zach Wilson as his quarterback.
Speaking of that, before we move on, what do you think about Garoppolo? What do you think happens with Garoppolo?
If Zach Wilson's the guy, if Zach Wilson falls to 3, then I think Garoppolo gets traded draft night.
Okay. Yeah. Makes sense.
Or over the course of draft weekend. If it's Mac Jones or if it's what I think Trey Lance is going to be the pick at 3 in my mock draft. So Trey Lance is the guy. I think he's the guy that most scouts say he needs that red shirt year. And so I'd say if Trey Lance is taken number 3 by San Francisco, then I think Jimmy Garoppolo gets kind of the Alex Smith treatment from Kansas City, where he's the starter for a year. And then at the end of the year, they move on from Jimmy Garoppolo.
So basically, we're doing the mock draft because we're saying someone's probably going to be best fit. It's probably where they're going to be likely to go. And I agree with you. We got Trevor Lawrence right there. I think Zach Wilson, I think he'll probably end up going to the Jets.
Yeah.
In my opinion. I don't know how you pass the kid up personally. If you have a shot at him. I got to be honest. There's a part of me that's like, I would probably take him over Trevor Lawrence just because I'm a risk taker and I want more of a guy like him than a Trevor Lawrence. But
Trevor Lawrence, I feel like
Justin Fields,
and it's going to be a good talent. Zach Wilson, he has that upside that is like
Justin Fields, I have going number 3 at a trade Carolina Panthers and Miami.
Well, Miami's already traded that pick to San Francisco, which That happened this past Friday. The Miami Dolphins traded from 3 to 12 with the San Francisco 49ers. So the 49ers give up 2 first-rounders in addition to their 12th.
Yeah, I need to update that because I forgot to update that change.
Yeah, so
that hasn't changed too much for me. I still have Trey Lance going probably to Atlanta Falcons.
Okay.
I think it's time for them to start looking at the future after Matty Ice.
And I agree with that. And that's why I had Justin Fields going number 4 to Atlanta, which means I have that unprecedented scenario. They've never had a case where quarterbacks have gone 1, 2, 3. Yeah. I have them going 1, 2, 3, 4.
Now, here's the one I really like.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this would make a world of difference. I think Kyle Pitts goes to Cincinnati Bengals, and I think Burrow has his first main badass target.
Okay, I get it. I get why you'd say Kyle Pitts there, and he's a great physical matchup nightmare.
Because right now it's about building around Joe Burrow. Obviously, offensive line's always going to float in there, but I just don't know. Pitts is a maniac.
What would you think about in my mock draft? I have Ja'Marr Chase going to Cincinnati, reconnecting that LSU magic of them in the national championship season.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that say, I don't know. Like, in the past, there's always been opportunities to do that, but for some reason, NFL coaches don't always see that as like, just because you played together in college doesn't mean you play well in the pro level.
No, it doesn't mean that, but I feel like that's a good – Ja'Marr Chase is projected to go somewhere around there, and you just happen to say, wait, we can reconnect him with a quarterback he had a ton of success with in college.
Are you telling me you think Ja'Marr Chase goes to the Bengals?
That's my predicted.
Okay.
Pick. Yeah.
I think a tight end's more valuable, so I think they're still going to go Pitts from the value position.
Hey, look, I don't disagree with you. On that part anyway.
And that puts me, since Ja'Marr Chase, if he was to get taken, I would say Devontae Smith goes to Detroit Lions, probably.
Mm-hmm. Who would you have Miami, who's now in the 6th spot, taking?
See, man, I could see them if Ja'Marr Chase is still available.
Right.
Scooping him up. That would, to me, would where he gets scooped.
I agree with you. If it goes the way you're projecting and Cincinnati goes Pitts, I would agree that Ja'Marr Chase goes 6 to Miami.
And then I'd say at number 8, I got Jalen Waddle.
Okay. Who do you have Detroit going with at 7?
Let me go back to number 7. I already told you, Devontae Smith.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, and then I got Jalen Waddle at 8.
Going off the board now. I'm not going to get a good receiver for my Eagles at 12.
And I got Sewell basically going to Minnesota, trade with the Broncos.
Okay.
And then number 10, I got Patrick Surtain, Dallas Cowboys.
Okay. And then 11, the New York Football Giants.
I got Kwity Paye.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Kwity Paye.
From Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
And 12, I got Caleb Farley going to San Francisco 49ers, cornerback.
Well, now he would be going to the Eagles in this scenario.
Okay. Yeah, I told you I need to update that part. Yeah. I got switched up on that.
Again, I don't hate that idea either.
Yeah. So either way, I mean, the player's still good. I got Rashawn Slater, offensive lineman, going to Chargers. Then I got
100%
Parsons,
agree with that pick.
Penn State, going to the Broncos, trade with the Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
I got Mac Jones, number 15, going to New England Patriots.
Okay.
Now, I would not be surprised if a team just says, fuck it, we're taking Mac. Somewhere in there for the hell of it to maybe get the Patriots, because the Patriots have a lot of free capital, both in, not in picks, but they got a lot of free capital and just random players they got sitting around in their team that they don't really value. The team might go, hey, give me that dude from your practice squad. Give me that guy from your second string. Give me this, and I'll give you Mac Jones. Like, I can see them trying to pull that off on the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
I'm only going up to 20 here. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I got all the way to written to 25. 32. Yeah, see, I don't really care. I wrote it all the way to 32, but I only care about the top 20, to be honest with you. So, but I'll go through that. I got
just round out your top 20.
Jice Horn going to Arizona Cardinals. Jermaine Davis going to Las Vegas Raiders. I still have to get used to saying that. Phillips, defensive end from Miami, going to Miami Dolphins.
Okay.
Christian Darshaw going to the Washington football team, who announced they may keep the name Washington football team as their permanent name. And then I got Vera Tucker going to Chicago Bears from USC.
Okay, yeah, I don't hate a lot of those.
Well, I looked at their needs. I looked at what they've said. I looked at what they're arguing about. Should we go this route or this route? And I'm thinking at the end of the day, logic's probably going to rule, and that's where I think their logic will fall. Obviously, sure. I could be completely wrong. Trevor Lawrence could go last in the draft, and who knows? You never know; it could freaking happen. Yeah. The day of, Trevor Lawrence gets accused of getting the wrong kind of massage and drops down to number 40 or something. You never know.
Well, maybe he'll drop down to 37. The Eagles get him with their second rounder. There we go.
He drops down to like number 20. So the Houston Texans trade for Trevor Lawrence, and they trade
Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, trade Deshaun Watson. The Jaguars trade Deshaun Watson back to Clemson. Tie.
And then all of a sudden it's like, wait, who made these allegations about Trevor Lawrence? Yeah. And you realize it was the same. It was some massage parlor in Houston, and like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
The Texans.
Deshaun Watson goes, wait. The main accuser had a mask on and a mullet, blonde hair, and I thought it was a girl. It was Trevor. I've been set up. Trevor's like, all those years that I should have been starting, you screwed me. Now I'm taking revenge.
Oh yeah, Clemson on Clemson crime.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's mine. I would love if something happened in the beginning right away and just make it all interesting. And Urban Meyer says, we're willing to trade Trevor Lawrence for X amount of picks from this team, and just changes everything up right out of the gate.
I just want to get on one little quick, if I can get on my soapbox for a second, I'll just
all yours. Go for it.
The San Francisco 49ers, they trade up to number 3, and right away I hear one of the quarterbacks that was in their conversation is Mac Jones. And now we both said on the show, I like Mac Jones. I think he's a good football player. He has got maybe the greatest football IQ I've seen in a long time. But the San Francisco 49ers, the 49ers, okay? The team that if you're somebody our age, maybe a little bit older, you grow up watching Joe Montana. You've watched Steve Young. Hell, you even watched Jeff Garcia and Alex Smith, who was the number 1 overall pick.
You watched mobility.
You're telling me that the 49ers traded 2 first-round picks and another pick, I think it was like a 3rd rounder or something, to get up to draft Mac Jones?
Yeah.
To play.
Who do you think if they had their pick of quarterbacks, not counting Trevor Lawrence?
Yeah, obviously not.
And they could pick any of the other quarterbacks, and they were able to get any of them.
Zach Wilson would be their guy.
Okay. You think so? I think Zach Wilson, or I will say Justin Fields, would be successful in the 49er program with Kyle Shanahan.
See, I still think the guy, and
that is the only team I personally believe that could save him from being a bust.
I agree with you about
the. I mean, obviously, I think Kansas City or Baltimore, but you can't fit. I'm talking the teams that could actually take him. I think it's the only place that would be able to coach him right, get him in position to be a better quarterback than he was in college. All the other teams, I think he'll go down.
I agree. Look, I think to me, it's so obvious from when they made the trade. Okay, the Alabama hadn't had their second pro day yet, so we hadn't seen all Mac Jones yet. Ohio State hadn't had their pro day yet, so we hadn't seen what Justin Fields was going to do. And look, BYU and Zach Wilson, they had their pro day, and North Dakota State, Trey Lance. That's the guy I think they want to take. And they said in their statement, their plan is to keep Jimmy Garoppolo and have him at least play for this season for him. And every scout has said they believe the one quarterback who needs that red shirt year would be Trey Lance. So that to me suggests that's why I think the 49ers are going to go with it, the number 3 pick.
Yeah, I don't really have a lot of argument with that, and I do like the argument for argument's sake if I have the ability to do it.
Sure.
I think
I
both
wanted to bring
of
it
us.
up because I thought you might be able to argue with
Yeah,
me.
I think both of us, the way we're looking at the mock draft
Mhm.
right now, we're going with the need, the likelihood, and whatnot.
Sure.
I think what's going to monkey wrench it is, like I said, if someone like Urban Meyer comes out and goes, you know what, I'm going to pull a Jimmy Johnson. I'm going to get rid of the best player, one of the best players that may ever come through, so that I can build my team in whole versus concentrating on one player.
Sure.
That would be like the monkey wrench in the whole system. That's where all dominoes would start to change. Other than that, I think we're pretty accurate.
Yeah,
We're pretty close.
and look, most of the time, man, even the experts, the Mel Kipers, the Todd McShays, like they get like of the 32, they get like 9 right, maybe,
Yeah.
because teams start trading.
You're usually about 50% right. It's the other half that they just totally like missed the boat on.
Oh yeah, and
There's no perfect science. I mean, we
trades.
can't predict what
Yeah,
they're really thinking, and you know, you
it's
got
an
to remember,
unpredictable night, and that's what makes it
anytime
so
we
fun.
hear all this hype, the
Mhm.
only one we usually know for sure is the number one who they're going to.
Yeah,
Other than that, we really don't know what teams are going to do up in the last minute, or as we call it, the war room. We
right.
don't know what's going to happen.
And I can't wait. Which, by the way, guys, everybody watching tonight, when we get to draft night, and I'm hoping you tune in for this, the Phillyverse, we're doing a special on draft night. We're doing a special roundtable discussion. We're going to go on an hour before the draft, and we're going to talk about pre-draft, everything to lead you up into it. And then we are going to be on the air during the draft. Now, obviously, because of copyright laws, we can't show the picks being made, but you will get instant reaction. We will announce the picks on the show. So don't even bother with NFL Network or ESPN on night one. Stay with the Phillyverse, and we will bring you. And I'd love to have you on. Especially
Thursday, April 29th.
Yeah,
for those who don't know.
Yeah, and I'd love, like, Landry, if you want, I would love to have you, in particular when the Cowboys are on the clock, and maybe stay on through the Eagles pick, because it'll be Cowboys, Giants, Eagles, assuming everybody's
basically all our rivals other than Washington.
Yeah. So I would love to have you on at least during that segment of the show. I think that would be a lot of fun to break down some of the NFC East rivalry.
Mm-hmm. Now, I currently, who I have, obviously the Cowboys taking. I personally don't think we need that person more than other positions, but though you got to understand the way Jerry Jones works, if that's a breakout player and that's going to sell seats and tickets and make it more exciting, then that's what he wants.
And again, I want to circle back to hit all the main points before we get out of here. Really, obviously, excited about baseball. Everybody tune in opening day tomorrow. Check out your teams. Everybody's 0-0. We got 162 games. It's a grind, and it all starts tomorrow. So good luck to everybody and their teams. But I just, I love the discussion we were having on the rookie quarterbacks. And, and of course, I'm excited for more football, the 17-game season. I do think it's only a matter of time before we go to 18 games. And when they do that, I think I told you my way of how I do it. You know how you play the like finishers in your conference of the divisions you're not playing? Yeah. So this year, the NFC East plays the NFC, the NFC South. And then you have the like finisher in the North and the West.
Which, if you're a Cowboys fan and watching, feel free to comment if the logic that the Cowboys belong to the NFC East instead of the NFC South makes any sense to you.
Yeah, maybe put Carolina in the NFC East and Dallas in the South. That would probably make the most sense.
Yeah.
But I never want to see that rivalry go away.
Well, we can just do not.
My inverted finisher would be the other way to do it. I'm just using it as an example, being an Eagles fan. So the Eagles are hosting the NFC West last place finisher, San Francisco 49ers. Well, in my scenario, they would then go at the second place team, which would be the Seattle Seahawks the LA Rams. So they would that would be one of their extra games. The other extra game would be at home against the second place finisher from the NFC North, which would be the Chicago Bears. So that would have been my extra games for the Eagles for this year.
Yeah.
But
look, if they're so consistent to where we feel like we need a preseason, then make it 2 and 18. 2 preseasons, 18.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
like I get it. If like in the end of the day, the no preseason thing is just a no go for the way the NFL feels about it and whatnot. Okay. I'm still about 20 games, no preseason. I think that is the perfect thing to hit. I don't think you'd have to adjust that for probably 20, 25, 30 years, unless there's dramatic change in the league. 20 games would be like, that's it. But if you're going to have to, then go 2-18.
Yeah, I think we'll go to 2-18, and then in the next 20 years, they'll be at 20 games.
Yeah, and I can't remember if it's already happened, but the league has the officiating, what rules should be changed, what rules they want to try out. I forgot when that is, the referee conference thing.
It's usually right after the owners' meetings, which just took place this week.
Yeah, so I'm hoping to hear some of those new things they want to try, some of the things that have been talked about, some of the things that the XFL actually pulled off pretty well that they might want to try in the NFL. So maybe on the next segment.
I just want to see, and they did it in the AAF and they did it in the XFL, more transparency in the review process. Why can't we hear what's discussed in the review rooms?
Yeah. Or just screw it and go to a centralized officiating system where the call is sent down to the ref, a call that might be controversial. Not like don't call down every call, but if it has to be reviewed, basically the ref just stands there until New York says it's this.
Yeah.
That's it. Done. Like this whole going to a camera, looking, waiting, sitting.
And the referee he shouldn't be making that call then.
Yeah, it's too crazy.
Review process,
crazy.
Then
I believe that at any touchdown, I think all calls are reviewable in the last 2 minutes, scoring calls. To me, all calls in the last 2 minutes should be reviewable, period. Yeah. Just change that. Just make it blanket.
Yeah.
That way no one feels screwed out of a game again.
Hey, we just fixed the NFL. You're welcome, everybody. Have a great night. We will see you all next week.
Peace.
Peace.